here until today, so I don't know what's happening.
Okay, so Melanie, I want you to stay after class, and then I'll just quickly review a couple of basics with you, okay?
Okay.
Me too, miss. I didn't come last class.
Okay, stay at the end. I'll spend like 10 minutes doing a very quick review. But make sure you take notes from here on out. All right, I'm gonna skip this one. Okay, so here's our this is where we're starting with brand new content. So for the topic of the day is right here, solving equations with parentheses. That's the topic of today. So make sure you write that at the top of your notebook. And today's date is the 9th.
9.
All righty. So in this example now, I have parentheses. And with parentheses, the first thing you always want to do, kind of like with fractions, you always want to get rid of them first. So the way to get rid of parentheses is using what is called, and you've definitely heard of this before, we have the distributive property. That should ring a bell, okay? So if you remember, can anybody explain to me what the distributive property is or what you're supposed to do?
You see like versus a plus 2, I think you do 2 times a minus 2 times 5.
You got it, exactly. So essentially you're going to multiply the number on the outside of the parentheses gets multiplied to each of the numbers on the inside of the parentheses. And the most important thing is to remember that we're using multiplication, because sometimes you might forget and you'll start adding or subtracting by accident. Remember, we're multiplying. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Everything else is going to come straight down. So the A comes straight down. And now I multiply. So 2 times A. And yes, write everything from here on out, all these notes, make sure you're writing them down. 2 times A is going to be, who knows?
2A?
Yeah, just 2A. 2 times, now this is the very important part, is that I have a minus sign here. So that's going to carry over, because the minus sign, we're going to treat it kind of like a negative symbol. We're going to bring it over with the 5. They belong together. So I'm doing 2 times negative 5. And that's going to give me?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. So I have A plus 2A minus 10 equals 320. I'm going to put my line down the middle to keep things nice and organized. Do I have any questions on distributive property so far?
No.
Awesome. Okay, well now let's take a look at what we've got. Remember, you always want to try to make it into a 2-step equation, but right now, do I have 2 steps or do I need to do something first?
You need to do something, miss.
Yeah, what should I do?
You should take like one of the A's away because there's 2 A's. So like, yeah.
So we've got 2 variables. I can't just make them go away, but what can I do with them?
Combine them?
Yeah, combine. So this is where we're going to combine like terms, which basically just means we're going to add them together. So I have A plus 2A. This A that's all by itself, that has an invisible 1 in front of it. So 1 plus 2, I have 3A. Now, do I have a 2-step equation, or is there anything else I need to do first?
I think now you have a 2-step.
Good. Now I've got my 2-step. I know that I'm going to have to do 2 more things. So take 2 more minutes to finish it out on your own, if you can. If you are not sure what you're doing, just wait till the end and I'll go over it.
Wait, miss, why is the A 1?
Why is the A 1? Okay, because in math, basically anytime that there's a 1 in, like if you only have one of those A's, I'm not going to call it 1A because that's too much work. I'm just going to call it A. So if you ever see a variable all by itself, that just means there's one of them. So like in this case, since there's an A all by itself, I'm just putting a 1 in front of it to show you that there's only one.
I got my answer.
Good. If you got an answer, you can send it in the chat. Thirty more seconds. Good. Good. Almost, I see a lot of correct answers, and I see some where I know exactly what mistake you made. Good. All right. So if I told you you got your answer correct, can anyone tell me what I should do in step 3?
Subtract 10 from each side.
Careful. You're very close. You just made one tiny mistake. Am I going to subtract 10? Add 10. Remember to do the opposite. So you see a minus sign, we're going to do a plus.
Okay.
Okay? That way I can eliminate my 10. And this is my addition property. Okay? Once I do that, I am left with 3A equals 330. And my final step?
Divide by 3.
Divide by 3, exactly. And 330 divided by 3 will leave me with?
110.
110. Very good.
Miss, I got it wrong.
What happened?
I forgot to divide.
I forgot to divide. Okay, there you go. But you learned from your mistake, right? That's what matters.
I couldn't get in.
That's okay. You're here now. That's all that matters. So catch up from where you are. And if you missed anything, you can always watch the video recording after class.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So any questions on this entire problem? Go back, look at each step, and make sure you understand how I got each of those numbers. If you have any questions, ask them now before I have you do this on your own.
Miss, so every time you have a parentheses, you have to multiply what's outside of it with the inside of it?
Exactly. Distributive property.
What's today's date? I mean, title?
So I circled the title. It's at the top, solving equations with parentheses. And then the date is September 9th.
Let's see all this work.
Beautiful work. I love it.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you.
Miss Lopez.
Yes.
So for, I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Is it a question about this problem?
Yeah. So, I was gonna ask, so if, say for instance, it was an A plus 5, will we do the same thing with the plus like we did with the minus?
Yes, exactly. Matter of fact, that's a really, really good question. I'm going to show you on the right side really quickly. So I'm going to erase these properties, but I'll leave everything else there. So I'm going to do 2 different examples. So if I had, okay, this is example number 1. 2 a plus 5, when I do the distributive property, since I have a plus sign, it's going to just be a plus sign. So nothing really changes. So this is going to be 2a plus 10. And my connection's a little bit slow, so it's a little bit laggy, but okay, there you go. So 2a plus 10. But then, here's example number 2. Let's say I had a negative 2 times a minus 5. So in the original problem, there's a plus sign in front of the 2, but let's say there was a minus sign in front of the 2. Well, in that case, what is going to happen when you do a negative times a negative?
Okay.
It becomes a positive, I think.
It becomes a positive. So negative 2 times a, so the first one is negative 2a, but then negative 2 times negative 5, since I have 2 minus signs, this is going to turn into a positive. So it would be negative 2a plus 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So with the distributive property, that's the thing that you have to really make sure you're being very careful, because it can be really tricky. And if you make one little mistake, it can get the entire question wrong for you. Okay. All right. Any last questions before I move on to the next one?
Can I get some more time to write?
Yeah, I'll give you 30 more seconds, okay? And then if you still need more time, I'll go at the end of class.
What were the steps?
Here. So number 1 was distributive property. I'll write them down real quick. Okay. Number 1 was distributive. Number 2 was combine like terms. Number 3 was addition. And number 4 was division. All right, so in the next problem, where it's going to be a very similar one, but you're going to do it by yourselves. All right, so I'm going to change the slide. I know you might not be done writing, but I'll always go back at the end if you want me to come back to a specific slide. All right, so I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes to go ahead and do this one on your own.
I wasn't done.
Huh?
I wasn't done.
I know, I said at the end of class, I'll go back if you guys still need to copy something. So just remember to tell me.
But it's quick. It's just number 3 and 4.
Okay, maybe I'll go back in a second once everybody writes this down. All right, 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Number 3 is addition property, and number 4 is division property.
Thank you, Zakaya. All right, I see a couple of answers coming in. There's about 40 minutes left, 40 seconds left. My one clue is that it should not be a whole number. It should not be a whole number. So if you're getting a whole number, check your work. Good. Sophie, Ascanio, and Daniela, you guys got it. Perrette, Andy, you got it too. Oh, JC, you got it, but make sure you put it as a fraction, not as a decimal. Okay. All right, let's go through it because the people who got it wrong, I know exactly where you went wrong. So I'm sure you're gonna see your mistake in just a second. Okay. And also, it's no shade to anyone getting it wrong, guys. I'll say this again and again. I do not care if you get something wrong. I care that you learn from your mistakes. So if you feel embarrassed or anything, don't, okay? Trust me, I was in your shoes once too.
Excuse me, miss.
Mm-hmm.
I accidentally sent it in the chat by accident.
You're good, JC. It's fine. All right. It is correct, by the way. You just have to put it as a improper fraction. All right. So what's my step 1 going to be? What's that called again? Distributive property. Exactly. My thing froze, so give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to start by doing my distributive property. And very similar to the previous problem, I have a minus sign in there, and that's going to be very important. Because if you mess that part up, it's going to get the whole thing wrong. All right, so 4 times x gives me 4x. 4 times negative 1, because remember, we carry that minus sign with us. That's going to be minus 4 plus 3.
We can't see what you're
Miss, you're not writing.
Oh, not again. Okay, give it like 2. It should load. Give me. Let's see if it just pops up. It's been happening all day, especially when it was like thundering outside. The connection was really slow. But I don't know. Okay.
It's coming back a little bit.
Miss, I got mixed up in 4x subtracted by 4.
Okay, so make sure you're learning from your mistake. Do you see where you went wrong? There we go. All right, so see if you can figure out, if you did this part wrong, try and see what you did by accident.
I put the 1 there
Miss, where did
instead.
the other 4 go?
Where did the other 4 go? Which one?
Because you know how you're supposed to multiply the 4 with the parentheses inside? Isn't there supposed to be like 3 4s?
No, there should only be 2 because you're doing 4 times 1, x. So you're doing 4 times x, that's 4x. And then you're doing 4 times negative 1, and that's 4, negative 4. And then that's it. Okay, we don't have any other numbers in there.
I had put a 1 instead of a 4. That's where I messed up.
There you go. So I saw that in some of your answers. Some of you might have put a plus sign by accident. That would have messed you up. So there's all these little things that can go wrong. You want to make sure you're taking it very, very slowly and checking your work. Okay, now what do I need to do?
Combine like terms.
Awesome. Combine like terms. Okay. When I combine like terms, which 2 am I combining?
4 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
4 and 3.
Okay, so I've got a 4 and a 3, but remember that the 4 includes that negative. So you really have to think of it as a negative 4 plus 3. And that's where most people probably messed up. If your answer was 11 over 4, that's probably where you went wrong. Okay, so negative 4 plus 3 is going to give me?
Negative 7.
Careful, negative 4 plus 3. So think the other way.
Negative 1.
Mm-hmm, negative 1. Okay, so make sure that, you know, it's all these little things. Adding negative numbers, I call them silly mistakes because it's like this little tiny thing that went wrong is going to mess you up completely. So you have to make sure you're doing that carefully. All right, then now I'm finally down to my two-step equation. Now I know I have 2 more steps left. What's step number 3?
Add both sides.
Adding property.
Good. Addition property. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And then that's, let me mute. Okay. And then that's going to give me 4x equals 19. And I'm going to take, my last step is going to be to do what?
Division.
Division.
Divide by 4.
Good. I'm going to divide by 4. So I'm left with x equals, now here's what I was saying before. Remember, in algebra class, it might have been different in the past, but in this class, when you're left with a fraction that looks like this, where you can't simplify it any further, we're going to leave it exactly like that. So if you had 4.75 or 4 3/4, that's still correct, but for the purposes of this class, my final answer is going to be a improper fraction.
Miss Lopez,
Yes.
in the third step where it says 4x minus 1, why did you put a 1 there?
Why did I put a 1? So that's where I'm combining like terms. So that's what I get with -4 plus 3. So -4 plus 3 gave me -1. So that's where that came from.
Miss, I'm confused.
Which part?
Why does it have to be 19 divided by 4? Why can't we divide that?
Where? Which part? Which step?
In 19 divided by 4.
Why? So what's your question?
Why is it 19 divided by 4?
Why is it 19 divided by 4? Why are we dividing? Is that your question?
Why are we not dividing?
Oh, like why do we leave it like 19 over 4 like that? That's just an algebra thing. It really isn't, there's no good answer for that because technically 4.75 and 4 3/4 equals the same thing. But in like when you take your tests, things like for algebra class that you take tests, homework, anything like that, all of the options are gonna look like improper fractions. So you just have to know that that's what it's gonna look like.
Okay, Miss, thank you.
Okay. All right, let's go do another. All right, so we've done 1-step equations, 2-step equations, 3-step equations, 4-step equations. Now you guys are all ready for this type of problem. Here I have an equation, and what do we notice is happening on both sides?
There's a plus.
There's a plus, so we're adding.
There's a plus and equation.
And what do we have on both sides of this equal sign that usually you only saw on one side?
A variable.
Variable.
Exactly. So we have variables on both sides. And the problem with this is that your equal sign, you have to think of it like a fence. You can't just add and subtract over the fence. You have to keep the things on one side, stay on one side, the things on the other side, stay on the other side. So the problem is I need to figure out how do I move, because I need to have my variables all on one side in order to solve for it. How do I move this one over to the other side? That's the question, right? Well, the way to do that is we're going to be using our subtraction property. When you use the subtraction property, it's going to cancel out that 21t on the right side, and it's going to bring it over to the other side. So let's see how that's going to work. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 21t. I did it on the right side. Now I have to do it on the left side as well. But now I have to choose. Do I put it under the 800 or do I put it under the 16?
The 16.
The 800.
I'm hearing both. So let's think about it.
16.
And okay, so I'm hearing a lot of 16s. Why would I want to do it under the 16?
Because it has a t.
Exactly.
Because it has a variable.
Because it has the variable. So when you use your subtraction property, you have to make sure you're lining it up under the one that is the like term. Since 21 has a t, you have to put it under the 16 because that also has a t. All right. Now what happens? On my right side, it cancels out. So I'm good. And then on my left side, I need to do that math. I need to do 16t minus 21t.
-5.
And that gives me, yep, -5. So I bring everything else down. 800, I didn't touch that, so it comes right down. 16 minus 21 is -5. That comes down. And then the 720 also comes right down. Any questions so far?
Miss, why didn't you drop the plus from the 800?
From the 800? Remember, the plus sign doesn't belong to the 800. The plus sign belongs to the 16. Those are the ones that stay together. So 16 minus 21 gave us -5, which is why I put this minus sign underneath. Good question. All right. Do I have a two-step equation now, or do I have to do something else?
You have to do something else.
What else might I have to do?
Take out the t from the negative.
Okay. So notice, and let me get rid of that pink. Okay. I have a t. I have -5t. What is my ultimate goal? What do I want to have at the very end?
Just the variable
by itself.
I want to have the t by itself, right? I want to get t equals something. Do I want to move that t? Or now that I have it on the left side, do I want to keep it exactly where it is?
Keep it
Keep
there.
it exactly where it is.
Exactly. So I don't want to get rid of the t right now. What do I want to get rid of?
The 800.
800.
The 800. And the 800 right now is sitting all there by itself. Is that a positive number or is it a negative number?
Positive.
Positive.
It's positive. So we can kind of think about it like it has a little plus sign in front of it. So since there's a little plus sign in front of it, what should I do to get rid of it?
Subtract it.
Exactly. So we're actually going to do the subtraction property again. But this time, I'm not getting rid of the t, I'm going to get rid of the 800. So I'm going to subtract 800 from here and subtract 800 from over there. And I have to do, again, working with positives and negatives, we have to make sure we're comfortable with that. So when I do 720 minus 800, am I going to have a positive answer or a negative answer?
Negative.
Okay, so I already know this is going to be a negative number. See if you can figure out what it is.
Negative 80.
Negative 80. Exactly. And I'm down to my very last step. What should I do for my last step?
Divide by 5.
Good, I'm gonna divide, and since I have a -5, remember I wanna get t completely by itself, so I'm not just dividing by 5, I have to divide by -5 on both sides. A negative divided by a negative becomes a
Positive. Positive.
positive. So what's my final answer gonna be?
I don't know.
And try to challenge yourself to not use a calculator.
Is it 1?
Is it 1? No, I'm doing 80 divided by 5.
15.
Oh, I thought you were doing.
Wait,
16.
I heard it.
16?
16.
Oh, yeah.
Nice job. Positive 16. Okay, that was not too bad, right? I mean, these are like, now we're getting to the challenge problems. How do we feel about these? Give me a little, on Zoom, you can do the little thumbs up or thumbs down. Good, I see lots of thumbs up. Love to see it. Yay. I have a thumbs down. I know you're lying.
This is too
There's no
complicated for
thumbs
me.
down.
If you got a thumbs down, we'll get you. I'll get you eventually. Okay, let's do one more. All right, so now we're gonna put this all together. This is our, believe it or not, this is actually the last question. So we're probably gonna finish early today, which is good, because if you have a personal question or something that you want me to go back and check, we can do that after class. So go ahead and copy this one down. This is gonna be our putting it all together question. So let's check it. Before I ever start a question, I always need to look at it, see what I have, and then decide my plan, okay? Because right now, this is a lot of stuff, right? There's like parentheses, I have variables, I have fractions, I have everything going on at once, okay? So when you're looking at this, what do you think, if anyone wants to volunteer, there's actually no right answer because you could do this a couple of different ways, but what should I try to get rid of first?
The parentheses.
Parentheses? Okay, I agree. I actually agree, because you either want to get rid of your parentheses or you want to get rid of your fractions. But in this case, I'm going to start with getting rid of my parentheses. And what is that property called?
Distributive.
Distributive property.
Distributive property. So my first step, and it's not, I'm writing, but it's not showing. I'm going to see if it loads. My first step is going to be the distributive property. Let me go back. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay. Distributive property. The reason I want to do this one first is because, whoa. I'm good, I think. Okay, I'm good. All right, is because when I distribute this fraction, which I'm gonna have to do, what do I actually get? So if I do 1/2 times
Division.
4, it's actually division, exactly.
2.
So 1/2 times 4x will be 2x, and 1/2 times positive 4 is gonna be positive 2. So when I do the distributive property, that's actually automatically gonna also get rid of my fractions all at once. So we're gonna distribute both sides in one step. So here we go. I'm going to start with the left side. So 5 times x.
5x.
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 Good, 5x. And then am I going to put a plus sign or a minus sign after that?
A minus sign.
Plus.
Minus.
Minus. Minus because I have a minus in the parentheses. It carries down. And 5 times 20 is?
100.
100.
Good. Okay, now, same thing on the right side. 1/2 times 4x.
That's confusing.
2x.
Yeah, 2x. Make sure you have your variable. And then
Plus
1/2
2.
times 4 is going to be 2, plus 2.
2.
All right, so
How is it 2x?
how is it 2x?
As a variable.
It has a
1/2
variable.
times 4x is 2.
Yeah. because remember, fractions are pretty much like division. So if you think about it, what's half of 4? Half of 4 is 2. That's how I got 2.
Oh.
All right. Okay. Now I'm down to this step. Now, how many variables do I have and where do they need to go? What needs to move and where does it need to go?
You got 2 variables.
The one that's on the right side.
Exactly. So this 2x, we're going to want to move it over. What property should I use in order to do that?
Division.
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 No,
Subtraction.
There we go. Subtraction. In order to move things over to the other side, you can only add or subtract. You can't divide them out. Okay. Now this 2x that's over here on the right side, is it a positive 2 or a negative 2?
Positive.
Positive.
So you've got an invisible little plus sign in front of it. So in order to get it over to the other side, that's why I have to subtract it. Now, does it go under the 5x or under the 100?
5x.
5x.
Mm-hmm. All right, and now on the right side, it goes away. On the left side, 5 minus 2 is 3x. So I have 3x minus 100 equals 2. From here to the end, I want you guys to finish it on your own. Send me your answers in the chat when you get it. I'll give you guys 2 more minutes. Good. If you guys are getting a fraction, see if you can simplify it. All right, few seconds left. I'm getting lots of right answers. I love to see it. If I didn't reply to you, it's because you got it correct. Nice job, guys. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's finish this out. What property am I using for step 3?
Division.
No.
Addition.
Addition, there you go. And this is where I know a couple people got it wrong because maybe they subtracted by accident. So make sure, you know, I see a negative sign, I see minus 100. That's why you have to put plus 100 underneath. You're going to do the opposite. Okay. Now I'm left with 3x equals 100 plus 2 is 102. So I saw a few people had negative 98. If you had negative 98, that's because you subtracted. Make sure that you added. Okay, and then step 4, my favorite step because it's the last step, we're going to divide.
Division.
Yep. We're going to divide to cancel out the 3's. And if you had this as a fraction, look again, you can actually simplify that. You can actually do 102 divided by 3, which is
34.
94.
34. And that's our answer. So if you got a different answer than me, go back in your own work and check to see where you went wrong. See if you did some math incorrectly. See if you added instead of subtracted or subtracted instead of added. There's always going to be one step that you messed up and then it messed you up the rest of the way. All right. Does everybody have the properties, step 1, 2, 3, and 4 written down?
Was there a step 4 for the last one?
Say that again?
Was there a step 4 for the last one?
For the previous question, no, just 3.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the reason I ask is because I'm going to erase this. I'm going to erase the steps. And I'm going to show you guys how to get 100% on every single test you take. The way to get 100% on every single test you take is to check your work, check your answer. So if you went all the way through, you finished the whole problem, and you got this answer, 34, the way to check to see if you're correct is to take that 34 and plug it in wherever you see X in the original problem. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to copy down the same problem, but I'm going to replace all of my X's with 34. So we're going to check our work, and if you get the same answer on the left side and the right side, that's how you know you're correct. So I'm going to start with my left side. I'm going to start, this is where we're going to use PEMDAS, by the way. So PEMDAS is the order of operations. It's the order that you're going to take to get your answer. So on the left side, I have parentheses. That means I need to do whatever's inside the parentheses first. So 34 minus 20, what does that give me?
6.
6. 6. Check again.
14.
Negative 6.
Negative 6. 34 minus 20. 34 minus 20.
This is 14.
14, thank you. We're getting tired. Okay. I'm going to continue just solving the left side. I'm going to get an answer for this. So 5 times 14. You may use your calculator, because now you're just checking your work.
70.
70. All right, so I got 70 on the left side. Now I have to see if I get 70 on the right side. And if I do, I'm good. So let's check the right side. All right, so I have parentheses, but I also have multiplication, and I have to do that first. So I'm going to start by multiplying 4 times 34. And that gives me
136.
136. Now I still have parentheses, so I'm going to add inside the parentheses. So 136 plus 4 gives me
104.
140. Good. And now I can do 1/2 times 140. Remember,
70.
you can think of that as a
70.
division problem. You're doing 140 divided by 2. That's 70. I got the same answer on the left side and the right side. That's how I know I'm good. I have the correct answer. X equals 34. So if you're ever working on homework assignments or tests or quizzes or anything like that, and you have some extra time at the end, I definitely, always check to see if your answer works. Plug it back in and check to see if it makes sense. Do I have any questions on that? Awesome. Okay, so that's it for today's class because you guys went ahead yesterday. You guys were really good yesterday, so you got ahead. So today we finished a little bit early. So at this point, I want you to, if you have not joined my Khan Academy class, stay. If you have any other questions for me that I didn't cover that you want me to just do it privately, stay. If none of that applies to you, then you are free to go. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow.
Miss Lopez.
Bye, Miss.
So we have homework tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, before you all start leaving, hold on. I will be posting a homework assignment on Khan Academy. So I will remind you all on Teams.
Why?
I'll remind you all on Teams, but it's your first homework assignment of the year will be on there tonight. Okay?
When I was on my email 2 days ago, I got like randomly 5 assignments for no reason.
Okay, that's weird.
Right here, September 8th,
Bye,
and then
Miss.
today, it says right here, you have 2 new assignments, and then you have 3 new assignments.
Bye, Miss.
Bye, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Bye, Dewan.
That's what you're talking about. When do we have Khan Academy? You setting me up.
I'm not setting you up. What do you mean setting you up? Did you stay? Did you do it yesterday when we were here yesterday?
Nope.
Okay, so stay.
To stay, right?
Yeah, if you have not signed up for Khan Academy, stay.